My ex, 30F, and I, 30M, broke up in 2022 after she cheated on me with my ex-best friend John, 31M. Ex and I have 2 kids ages 8 and 6 who we have 50-50 parenting time of and shared legal and physical custody after DNA proved they were mine. Ex and John were together until December 2024 when John found out she had cheated on him. She was pregnant and paternity of the baby was in question. John tried reaching out to me about it, but I continued to ignore him like I had while he was with my ex. He and I will never be friends again. My ex gave birth in February and paternity is still in the air and they're awaiting a DNA test result. John's had nothing to do with the baby yet because he refuses to be in the child's life unless the child is his. I don't know about the other guys. I don't even know how many there are. My ex's parents always handled exchanges with our kids, so there was less tension around the kids. But after my ex gave birth, they started suggesting I meet the baby and putting it out there that I'll always be a part of this child's life and how their newest grandchild could do with someone like me in the picture. I told them it was a shame their daughter didn't consider that before she cheated on me. They told me it wasn't the innocent baby's fault, which I rolled my eyes at them and said it can't be the baby's fault, but the baby isn't mine or family to me. They didn't like that, and when they found out I did nothing and bought nothing for the baby after they don't know if my ex had a boy or girl, were born. Ex's parents gave me a hard time about it, and I told my ex if it continued I would file a modification with the court for someone else to be nominated to handle exchanges. She told me I was being a duck. I have documented everything, but these comments are now said when we see each other at the store or on the street instead of during exchanges, which is smart. My ex reached out and asked me for $500 to buy formula and diapers and some rash treatment for the baby the other week, and I quickly said no. The kids were with me, so I knew immediately it wasn't for them. She asked a second time, and I told her my answer had not changed. Ex's parents tracked me down when I was buying paint the next week, and they unleashed all this anger about my refusal to be in the baby's life or even meet the baby. They said John won't be a good father whether he is or isn't, and nobody else wants to know, but I'm already a dad and the kids could be raised together, but I won't even be an uncle for this child, and they said how selfish I am and what a piece of shit I'm being when they know I can be better. That I am the father of this baby's half-siblings and how my kids will never embrace the baby if I don't. I think it's crazy to expect me to have anything to do with this child. Especially to expect me to embrace and love this child. Baby is innocent, but I am not a member of their family. They are my children's half-sibling, but it doesn't mean they are my child or anything by association. This is how I see it anyway. And for anyone who asks, I am still documenting and I'm discussing the next steps with my attorney over contact and exchanges. Comment 1. NTA, you're under zero obligation to be involved in your ex's new baby's life. That child isn't yours, and it's not your responsibility emotionally, financially, or otherwise. It sucks that your kids have a half-sibling in a messy situation, but your role as a dad doesn't extend to fixing your ex's choices. You're being clear, firm, and handling it responsibly. Keeping boundaries doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you sane. Comment 2. NTA, their expectations of you are absolutely wild. If her parents are so concerned about it, let them take on the burden of helping with the child and paying for its needs. Comment 3. Explain they will need to talk to you through your lawyer, as you will be requesting all CAMs to go through your lawyer if they continue trying to push another man's child on you. You are not the one having affairs and breaking up families. How John acts is not your fault or obligation to step in. Story 2, not inviting my nephew to my son's birthday party? I, 35F, have a son, Killian, 14M, who just recently had a birthday. The issue stems from his birthday from last year, where we invited all his cousins and his friends to celebrate him. The party went great for the first half, but when it came time to cut the cake, I went over to fridge to go get it and saw it was half eaten. I was obviously upset about this because this had been a cake that I had made by a professional baker that cost me around $140, and my son really loved the design. I asked who ate the cake, and my sister, 44F, laughed it off when her son, Robbie, 16 meters, told her that he ate the cake because he was hungry. To be clear, the cake wasn't the only food at the party. Throughout the party we served many different dishes such as wings, veggie platters, pizzas, chips, and sodas. I was obviously angry that my son couldn't have his cake and had to quickly go out and buy one from Walmart. I'm honestly still shocked that with all the food at the party Robbie still managed to clear half of a huge cake. It was enough to produce about 20 slices. I called my sister later to tell her I wasn't happy with what her son had done, and since I had spent so much money on the cake I expected it back. She then accused me of being fat-phobic, which absolutely is not true. I have never once discriminated against Robbie at any time. This was just a false accusation. To explain, Robbie has a weight problem and has been having issues with binging since he was around 13, which is why he is about 250 pounds, and my sister has never failed to let anyone know of that and expects for everyone to bend over backwards for Robbie since he has it hard. This year Killian wanted to have a friends-only party with the exception of 2 cousins, one that only his friends and closest cousins could come to since he hated his party from last year. I asked why. He explained to me that he was embarrassed of Robbie since all he did was poke fun at his friends and him, bring his own uninvited +1, and obviously he ate some of the cake. I complied and only invited his friends and allowed 2 of his cousins to join as well. Luckily some of my siblings were understanding. The only one who had an issue with this was my sister. She called me to ask why Robbie wasn't invited, and I explained to her that Killian doesn't want him there because of what he did last year. My sister was infuriated and said she knew we had an issue with her son's weight. Since then she has been ranting all over Facebook and I've been getting calls from relatives, and this entire situation has been stressing me out. Comment 1, NTA. It's your son's party. He's old enough to determine his own guest list, and he's entitled to do so. He picked the people he wanted to celebrate with. That's his prerogative. Also, this was a friend's party, not a family party. Being family doesn't mean one is owed an invite, and his cousin's past poor behavior justifies him not being invited. Comment 2. NTA. Fat people don't get a free pass to eat everyone else's food. His problem isn't that he's fat, it's that his mother doesn't love him enough to get him help for his food obsession, and she hasn't taught him basic manners or that it is wrong to steal no matter how hungry we are. Comment 3. NTA. Your sister is a big part of the problem here. The fact that she was just fine with her son eating the special birthday cake before it was even served is ridiculous. She needs to stop trying to make everything about his weight and realize her son just has some behavioral problems that she seems to enable. Story 3, not disclosing to my housemates that my family has money and refusing to pay more monthly. Hi. This happened in Brazil. I, 23F, live with 7 other people, 2 girls and 5 boys, one of them is my boyfriend. We are all between 22 to 25. We started renting together 3 years ago when we were all in the same university and just kept doing it. We split rent and utilities equally. We are all at least friendly with each other and regularly have parties/travel together, but we are not all that close. Recently, during a party, we were all a bit drunk and were talking about funny stories from our families, and I commented that I studied in a very elite school in our city. One of the boys, J25, was very surprised because it is a very expensive school. He started asking me questions about the way I grew up and eventually just said, "Wow, you are rich." I thought that was it and we kept having fun. Well, the morning after, he started making all these jokes about me being rich and snobby, which I didn't mind. We tease each other all the time. But after like 3 days it started annoying people, so one of the girls, Maria, 24F, told him to cut it out because he was overdoing it. This started an argument and eventually it came out that he was uncomfortable with the revelation that my parents had money. We started talking about it. It was super awkward because it sucks having a serious conversation at breakfast, and he said that he truly felt betrayed because he thought we were all broke and that to make things fair I should have been making bigger contributions to the house funds. I said that I understood he was upset, but that I couldn't really afford paying the amount he was suggesting, 1,800 Brazilian reais. He insisted and my boyfriend got involved and eventually he just left while saying I was a liar. Well, my other 6 friends don't agree with him and think he's being a duck, and now he's being kind of sidelined for the past week, but I can't help wondering if he's right. I never lied about how I grew up, but I knew that just the fact both my parents have a master's meant that I grew up better off than everyone else from this group, and I kind of avoided commenting about it because I thought it was awkward. Most people knew, but apparently Jay and our other friend didn't. Comment 1. The entire question is absurd. You are NTA. You pay your fair share. There is absolutely no reason that you should pay a larger share because your parents have more money than his parents do. That has nothing at all to do with your living expenses. Comment 2. NTA. I live in the US, so maybe the culture surrounding this issue is different here, or maybe your housemate is an R, but why would he just assume that your parents' money is yours to spend? Even if your parents are wealthy, that doesn't automatically mean that you are wealthy. Sounds like he's just looking for a break no matter whose expense it comes at. Comment 3. NTA. My kids attended private schools at great parental sacrifice because it was the best thing for them. It doesn't mean as young adults that I subsidize them in everything. And even if I did, no one else is entitled to parental money. Story 4. Telling my friend I can't go to her destination wedding because it's too expensive, but then also going on mini vacations with my husband. I am supposed to be a bridesmaid for my best friend, but I just got the destination package and it is almost $3,000 a person to go. I have my husband and 2 kids. So if I didn't bring my kids, I would have to figure out childcare for a whole week and manage to pay for Santa to visit our house. Edit. Wedding week before Christmas. I told her I can't afford it, because we just remortgaged and did $50,000 worth of repairs on our house and I wasn't expecting the trip to be so expensive. My sister's destination was about $1,200 a person. My friend asked me what I was up to this weekend and I excitedly said I was going to Comic-Con with my husband. And she sent me a long message that all but 2 of her bridesmaids can go and her finances friends can all go. She is very sad and depressed about it. Can I just go and not my family? She gave us ample time to save up, etc. In the end, I got the impression she was upset I said no to her wedding and am not trying at all to save up when I am going on mini vacations with my husband. I had a hunch we couldn't afford the wedding from the beginning, so I made sure I was the one to throw her an engagement party. I couldn't afford to go to the bachelorette party because it was $1,200 weekend. I have cried about this whole situation many times and now I just feel absolutely horrible. I've been in a depression over this and my husband said I'm sorry I can't take you on a vacation, so he surprised me with a day to Comic-Con and a date night in the big city. Comment 1. NTA. Spending $4,200 on someone else's wedding seems crazy. You are allowed to have fun with your spouse and your family. I'd simply respond, I wish things were different. But spending $800 on a mini trip with my husband doesn't come close to covering the cost involved in being a bridesmaid in your wedding, which are totaling over $4,000. I hope your wedding is luxurious and amazing. Unfortunately, I can't make it happen. Comment 2. My entire wedding was just north of $4,000. I can't imagine someone asking me to spend $4,000 for just myself to attend their wedding, never mind another $3,000 plus for my husband to come and a week of 24/7 child care. People who have destination weddings need to understand that not everyone is willing and able to spend multiple thousands of dollars on a single event. Even best friends. Extra. Telling a woman we close in 3 minutes when she wanted to go in the fitting room. At 15 minutes until close, a woman and her baby came into the store. A few minutes later, another woman came in. At 10 till close, I turned off the music. The second woman that came in yelled across the store, "You close at 8, right?" "Yes, ma'am, we do." She was standing right next to the lady with the baby. At 5 till, as I rang out a coworker, the second woman came to the register. I started ringing her out. The woman with the baby comes up with an armful of things. She asked if she could try these. 1. I said, "You know we close in 3 minutes." She looked at me as I was still ringing up the second lady, then she said, "Well, I needed something to wear to my grandmother's funeral, but I guess not." She then walked away. My boss got a call from the lady with the baby's mother, yelling that how dare we tell her daughter that she couldn't try something on. I told my boss the truth. I asked her if she knew we closed in 3 minutes, but I never said no, she couldn't try them on. She's the one who turned and walked away.